Hey there. Hey guys. So today I am trying out something new, a little different. I'm recording live from a hotel. I'm in the lobby and I don't know if you hear background noise. I don't know what the story is. And there's people wandering around in front of me. And we'll see how distracted I am when I do this episode. Um, and we'll see how well you're able to hear me. And we'll just kind of play with it. We're trying new things in the spirit of 2019, even though it's not 2019 yet. I have 1 minute left. I'm going live on Blog Talk Radio as well. And if you would like to call in, you can call into that show, although no one's watching the broadcast just yet. So if any spiritual beings listening, any of my angels or guides, ascendant masters. Actually, let's do that. 1 second. Let me call everybody in. And man, I wish I could focus a little bit better in public space, but maybe this is preparing me for something. Well, of course it is. So let me just kind of connect with myself. This show is going to go live in 15 seconds. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it in a second. Here we go. Hey guys, welcome. It's the Love Guru Blair. Welcome to the Awakened Warrior. Warriors Unite. This is the show where I talk about current news stories and give my spiritual and, did I say welcome to the Awakened Warrior? I'm sorry, I'm so out of sorts today. I haven't done this in a while either. And as I was just saying to people on YouTube, I am recording live from a hotel. I'm in the lobby, so I might be a little bit distracted, hopefully not, during this broadcast. But we're trying something new in the spirit of 2019. So my name is Blair. I'm known as the Love Guru. And welcome to the Awakened Warrior. I'm not sure. I think I did already say that. So this is the show where I talk about current news stories and get my spiritual and psychological take on it, all for the purpose of educating, awakening, educating, enlightening, and empowering the collective. So let me introduce myself before we go into the topic today. We're talking about the Netflix documentary called American Meme. I think I was saying American Mem in the last episode, but I think it's pronounced American Meme. But before we go into that, let me introduce myself. Like I said, my name is Blair. I'm known as the Love Guru. I'm a spiritual teacher, an intuitive heart healer, a psychic, a medium, a dating and relationship expert, a marriage and family therapist, and a horse healer. And I work with high-powered executives, entrepreneurs, and celebrities who've experienced career success, but their love life is a mess. Is that you? So if you're single and fed up and frustrated, I can teach you an easier, more natural way of attracting the one, that you don't have to use a dating site, a dating app, or work with a matchmaker. You don't need a middleman when you have the power to do it yourself. I also work with people who are in a relationship and unhappy and confused, and I help you get to the bottom of what exactly went wrong, how to fix it, or if you want to move on, how to do that with grace and ease, never having to experience the same pain and the same patterns ever again with somebody new. So like I said, today we're talking about American Meme. I think that's how you pronounce it. As you can see, I'm not really so up with the social media lingo. But this is a documentary on Netflix, and it profiles like four different, we're going to go into the different people, but four popular people who are Insta-famous on there. I think that's what you call it. I think that's what the cool kids call it. They are Insta-famous. And there are people who have 100,000 plus whatever followers. Most of them have millions of followers. And it gives you this very intimate look into their lives and really how miserable they are. And let me just check my time here. So We're going for a half an hour, by the way, guys, my YouTube people. So this is broadcasting live on YouTube and on Blog Talk Radio. I don't know if I'm going to keep doing this, but in case you want to find me on both the places, if you do follow me on Blog Talk, you're able to call in and voice your opinion. And as I said, if you have seen this movie and you have some comments to say about it, feel free to call in. We'll talk about it. So what I thought was so interesting and also sad and depressing about this documentary was that, so it highlights these people who have loads and loads of followers, but you see on how they're miserable. And it's really an interesting take on our society these days, because almost everybody that you meet and just the general society, the way that we are, is that everybody's so into building up their platform. Oh, do you have like 1 million followers on Facebook and on Instagram, and maybe forget about Twitter. Who cares about Twitter anymore, or whatever? But it's just always about the numbers. And personally, I find it like super annoying. And I'm like, this part of me that's like very much like against the grain. And I think there's a lot of parts of me that are just against the grain, but it's so ridiculous. And it's always like so fake, I think. And I saw this with Facebook years ago when I was thinking about going mainstream and publishing my first book. And when I was talking to agents, they were all about like, well, what kind of platform do you have? How many followers do you have? And I saw on how people gain these followers. There's a lot of fake followers. There's a lot of people that you could pay for followers. And even now that I'm newly on Instagram, I see how people get their followers. They do the follow, the unfollow, follow, unfollow, and all this bullshit. But it's interesting because when you go to someone's profile and you see that they have 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 followers, you're like, oh my God, that's like, oh, that person must be popular. Like, let me partner with them. And it's not really true. Again, a lot of those followers are fake, and a lot of those are just followed because they thought that they were following each other, and then that person dropped off. So it's an interesting commentary as far as like how our society operates these days, and sort of how bad it's really gotten on how people are more interested, not everybody, but more interested in this like superficial way of being, rather than like, how are you serving your community and who are you helping and things like that. And sometimes those are mutually exclusive. Like, you have a big following, and then that also means that those are all the people that you're helping. But a lot of people that you see on Instagram, Facebook, it's fake stuff going on. It's shady practices to build the numbers. So let's get back to this documentary, this American Meme. And what we see is these people who have sort of reached the pinnacle of popularity online, of the success online that, quote, everybody's looking for. And it was really interesting because you get an inside look in this. It was very like, the people were very vulnerable. And I was surprised that they were so open and so vulnerable with this filmmaker. I mean, that's a lot of credit to the work that he was doing with them, or the relationship that he has with them. But the movie starts off talking about how basically there's like a quote from Paris Hilton that, it's highlighting her, and she's talking about on how she feels closer to her followers on Instagram than anyone in her life, that her followers really understand her. And it's like, you kind of start off this documentary and you're like, wow, this documentary is going to be super disturbing, because here you have somebody who feels so close to a stranger, to feel so close in a fake relationship. And I don't know, I mean, do you realize this? Like, online relationships are not real. They're fake. You're in this virtual community. It's not like you really know the person. You know certain aspects of them. You don't know this person. You can't reach them. Most of the time, you can't call the person when they're stopped recording or when they stop posting online. If they don't reach out to you, you don't know anything about them. So, here we have her talking about on how, so basically she's more comfortable in this virtual world, and she doesn't really have any of these like close. It kind of made you think she doesn't really have any close relationships at all in person. And so that's sort of how the documentary continues. So this documentary highlights Paris Hilton. It highlights Josh Ostrowski, who is known as the Fat Jew or Fat Jewish. This lady Brittany Furlan or Furlan, I don't really know who that was, and Kirill Bichusky. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but I had seen some articles about Josh, the Fat Jew, and I saw like a skit that he did in New York, and I thought it was cute and stuff like that. And he seems to be the only one who sort of seems sort of like normal and actually like understanding what Instagram is and making money off of it and having fun off of it and sort of looking at it as a joke. The other three, it feels kind of dark as far as like what their relationship with social media is. So again, they highlight this Kirill guy, and he's known for these like really raunchy parties where women, I guess, wear lingerie, or they're walking. If you watch some of these videos online, like they're walking around in thongs in clubs, and they're spraying champagne all over them, to look like someone's like coming on their face or coming on their backside. And again, it's just really raunchy stuff. And this guy talks about on how, I think he's in his late 30s now. And, he talks about on how he doesn't really like going out partying all the time, how years ago, family members or friends were sort of concerned that he was hanging out in comedy clubs and it was bringing out this dark side of him. And if you are interested in seeing somebody who carries dark energy, that's this guy. And I'm not saying that to be mean or what. I'm just stating as far as like, if you're curious what darkness in a person looks like, that is him. And it shows him at these parties and doing these raunchy things and talking about how he's exhausted afterwards, how he doesn't want to do it, how I guess he sort of like thinks people are pathetic who do it. And he continues doing it, even though he feels like he's sort of trapped by it because he has all these followers. He probably gets paid a lot of money to go out to clubs to like bring this raunchy party. And, it's interesting because they showed him with his family, and it's really odd. Like, he's talking about on how he wants to find a good girl and he really would like to have, maybe have kids. His parents are bothering him about that. Like you see a scene of his mom asking him about that. And he's saying that he wants to find a good girl and, maybe like leave it and find something else to do. But I don't see that happening anytime soon unless there's like a drastic change with him. And it's just really sad. Like it's really, many, many, many years ago, I was in like the club promoting scene. And this was like right when I was at a college, and it was for a very short time. I didn't really like it because it's a place where really darkness hangs out, and you're hanging out really late at night, and everyone's drinking and raunchy, and it's just, again, it's to let your dark side come out. And it's something that when you're feeding your, I think you need to pay attention. Not like you need to, but like I think the idea is to pay attention to like, are you feeding your dark side or that light side of yourself? Are you looking to raise in consciousness and become, I wouldn't say like a better person, but like, do you want to be more like self-actualizing and like stepping into like these higher levels of vibration? Or are you making decisions that are really bringing you down into the dark side? And I've had like some bouts with the dark side, and once you start going in that direction, it starts compounding. Like the things that start happening to you start getting stronger and stronger. And again, over the last, like, it was even just over the last like several years, I mean, I was connected with two of my soulmates that I've had. Soulmates are people that you travel in a soul group from one lifetime to the next. And they were both two people with very dark energy. And I'm not going to say that I was all light. I mean, I do think that I was the lighter person in the mix, but there had to be something there going on with me that I was drawing in these like really dark creatures. Um, so so anyway, I mean, this guy thinks that somebody's going to come in and maybe like he's going to meet a quote nice girl, and that maybe she'll save him from his activities, but that's not going to happen. The way that you change your life is that like you need to do it first. Like you don't look for someone to be your savior. And it's interesting because I think a lot of guys in that nightclub industry think that they're going to meet a nice girl and that that's when they're going to leave um, that's when they're going to leave that darkness, that life behind, that rough night life. And I think that's even also like maybe you hear like maybe that's like the hip hop thing too, of like I'll leave like thug life or something like that when I meet a nice girl to settle down. And it doesn't work like that. Like you're not going to attract a good girl when you're doing like dark things, and they're not going to be attracted to that energy at all. And I know that kind of goes back to like my conversation on how like a couple of years ago on how I met two of like my really dark soulmates. What was interesting is like people who have really dark energy, they also carry a lot of light. So for me, and this is something like a little quirk of mine that I'm just very aware of on how I tend to be drawn towards people. Hey, Starlight, what's up? I tend to be drawn towards people who are a little bit like quirky and different. Like if people are quote like maybe normal, they're not really so much of interest to me. And again, I'm working out this to be attracted more to like normal people. And I'm talking about just like in general. Not like romantically, I'm just talking about like in general, but like I'm always just like very intrigued by like sort of characters, people who are different, people who live different lives. So I think again, it's kind of, I mean, maybe that's the path of the light worker, is to be drawn into this darkness because it's just so interesting. And you know what I'll tell you is that after I connected with these two soulmates, again, who had these very like dark sides, they were also, as I said, like very powerful beings. And after I had learned the lessons that I had to from our reconnection, because there was 100% we were supposed to reconnect. It was just for short periods of time, but it was 100% there for us to reconnect. And once I left that relationship, so it was really a choice point for me to decide, like, am I going to go the dark side? Are they going to pull me to the dark side? And it was also like a choice point for them. Are they going to come over to the light? But after we went our separate ways, then I gained a lot of spiritual power. So that was very interesting. And I know that I'm kind of off topic here, maybe with this American Meme documentary, but I'm just kind of following where the conversation goes, like usual. You know what? I see there's someone on a call here. Is your hand raised? I don't know if you want to be. I think you do want to come on. I'm going to put you on. Okay. 267. Hello. Did you want to say something, or are you just listening? Hi. Hello. Hello. What's up? Have you seen this documentary? Oh, okay. So yeah, I was talking about. I will take your question. That's fine. I was talking about the documentary called American Meme on Netflix. Have you seen that or heard about it? Yeah. Yeah, you might want to check that out. I was talking about dark energy, people with dark energy. But yeah, go ahead, ask your question. 9-5-13. El 5 solo 3. Minuto 5. No, porque ella está equivocada. Ajá, ella está viendo el 5, 6, 3. Aquí quiere decir cuánto se acaba de decir con café. Adecuadamente diría que es el 5 que se sabe que habla como en la boca. Ese es 503. 503. Ok. Wait, so I'm gonna have so ask your question because I have to just continue talking about this documentary. But did you have a specific question about it? Oh, okay. So you know what? I think this question is more for my like love relationship show, which I do on another day. And then that's a situation where I could help you work through that. I just don't. I have like 10 minutes left on this show, so I don't really have time to go through that. But I mean, just as a quick read, it sounds like it's over. So I would just move on from that. Like, there's no point in continuing thinking about that. So of course, there's a healing process to go through um, to get over him, you know? Yeah, I mean, there's more to that. So I call back on my other show, and then I'll be able to give you steps to actually work through it because I'd like to be able to help you a little bit more in depth, but I just can't go into it right now. It's not like I mean, this is a process for you to go through of healing and releasing him. Okay, so I'm gonna put you back on hold here. All right. I don't know how to do that. So all right, I just hung up. You used to be able to mute it, but okay. So I'm sorry, YouTube people. But I know that you couldn't hear the question. You could always go check out the Blog Talk show if you if you want to hear the question, but there wasn't really a question there. Um, so let's just move on here as far as I just want to talk about a couple of these characters on this show. So we talked about Kirill, we talked about the dark energy. And again, just somebody, the point here is that somebody who has like a massive following, he has over 1 million followers and he's miserable. Then we look at Paris Hilton, somebody else who has a massive following. I think she has something like 10 million followers and she's unhappy. You see insights with her. You see her talking to her mom and she's talking about how she wants to have a family. Again, I think she's in her late 30s too. I think all these people are in their late 30s. And she's talking about how she wants to have a family, how she wants to meet somebody, obviously how she wants to have a kid. And the thing is that she was very honest. She said, for the last 10 years, I've sort of been stunted emotionally when it comes to growing and because she's been in this virtual world of posing and this and that. And I was just on her Instagram today, just checking it out before this show. And there was a video of her with Kim Kardashian. And the two of them, they talk exactly the same. And this is what's popular in that like kind of virtual world of the everybody sort of mimicking each other. It's so weird. It's just really so bizarre. And so this is another person who again is like miserable, who has millions of followers. So the whole point of all of this, and then there's like Brittany Furlan, she's another miserable one too. And you just see one person after the next that they're just unhappy living in this world of what they created for themselves. But yet, with all that said, that's what our society is still looking to create, to have those tons and tons of followers. And hey, granted, if somebody wants to pay me 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, whatever for a post, I mean, hey, isn't that cool? That's like super easy money. But look at the price that these people are paying. They're really sort of dead inside. And I know that sounds sort of horrible and sad to be saying about somebody, but that is really what this documentary was showing. At least that was my interpretation of it. And then to kind of round out the whole bizarreness even more was that on top of that, all these people are promoting and sort of proud that they're in this documentary. And that's really weird to me too. A lot of times, although a lot of times when you film a movie, then part of that is like doing press and promoting it. But these people genuinely seem proud that they have done this film. And I don't think the film shows them in a good light at all. So that is just sort of another twist in the whole scenario, that I just don't understand. I don't get it. Maybe you do, and maybe you want to weigh in on it. Um, what else would I like to say? Something else that was sort of weird with this Kirill guy is that, even though, like, it seemed like in a weird way, his parents are sort of like proud of him, of like what he developed. Now you got to go check out this guy's like Instagram. It is at Slut Whisperer. And he, again, it's super raunchy and just discussing the dark side of life. And then it is, you see how his mom sort of has this pride that, like, yeah, he created that, and look what he did, and sort of the American dream. And it's like, you're proud of your son doing this like dark, disgusting stuff. It's weird. The whole movie is just really weird from like a psychological standpoint. The whole movie is weird. And on top of that, it's true. It's 100% true because it's real life. And that makes it even weird and sadder that is our society. That is what our society is. I feel like years ago we were worried about the dumbing down of society. And it's like, now we're here. And I've really been noticing, let me see how much time that I have here, like 5 minutes left. I've just been noticing like the whole thing about how can I say this in like the nicest way possible, but like how sort of really sort of brain dead people are, like sort of dumb, like you really have to, like, I'm not saying everybody, but just in interacting with people, just like around town, taking care of errands, like doing whatever, talking to people, like let's say in retail or it's just, they don't understand things. They give you these like blank stares. Like you're just like asking a question. It's this blank stares. So then I go ahead and I go, well, you mean, is it back there? Or like, what are the hours that you're open? Or when is that person going to be back? And like, maybe you want to go check with your manager to go ask. Like, it's really like talking on just like this really kind of dumb and basic level. And that's what happens when you're staring. I think that's part of it. I mean, when you're staring at your phone nonstop, I mean, every time I like look over someone's shoulder, they're on Instagram. They're screwing around on Instagram, screwing around on Facebook, scrolling through stuff. I mean, that stuff affects your brain. Besides the other stuff that we're dealing with, the chemtrails in the air and the fluoride in the water and the chlorine in the water and the pesticides on our food. I mean, it's all of the stuff that is really tainting our brains. And again, we were worrying about this years ago, and now I'm really seeing it. And I think it's because I've actually been leaving my home more these days. And like for several years, I really stayed in a cocoon in my own home, away from everybody. I was going through a lot of, hey, Abraham, I was going through like a lot of like spiritual healing work. And I had to take care of myself. I stopped doing these videos. I stopped like putting out content. I stopped like really kind of communicating with a lot of people. And I just really had to take care of myself. I had like emotional stuff I was clearing through. And then I had like a physical thing, which is I'm still healing. I have my thyroid that I'm taking care of. And like, the thing is that, okay. Yeah. So, the thing is that now I'm going out more and I'm interacting with people, and it's just really like, oh my goodness, like what is wrong with these people? Like, and people really have become sort of like robots, and we're seeing a really big division. So this is how we'll kind of wind up this conversation. And this goes along. And again, if you have not seen that Netflix documentary, watch it, American Meme, watch it. I'm sure you can find it online to watch for free if you don't have Netflix. But the thing is that these are perfect examples of these people that, well, it's interesting because there's sort of like this this shell on the outside of just like emptiness. And you see there's like that part inside of them that's like, help, help, the human part, like, remember me, help. Like, I don't like what we're doing. Like, I don't like this lifestyle. Help, get me out. And none of them really seem to be answering the call, even though they really understand that they're not happy. So that's the end of my show for today. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you go watch the documentary so that you can be sad and depressed watching the documentary if you haven't seen it. Let me know what you think. And if you'd like to reach out to me, feel free at loveguru.net. This is Blair, the Love Guru, and thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.